Restored Republic via GCR. Judy note, the House of Orsini claimed to trace themselves back to the Julio-Chadian dynasty of the old Roman Empire, according to Julian Assange. They are the heads of the 13 Venetian black nobility bloodlines. They founded the Jesuit order, and control the Vatican. They also control the Rothschild and Rockefeller families. Domenico Napoleone Orsini, nicknamed Pepe Orsini, is the most powerful man on earth. He is known as the Grey Pope. The Grey Pope controls the White Pope and Black Pope. Pepe Orsini wields unimaginable wealth and power, and he pulls the strings of presidents, prime ministers, and organized crime syndicates around the world, from behind closed doors. This is who Trump and his global military alliance were fighting. Pepe Orsini is head of the deep state Satan-worshipping Illuminati cabal foreign banker elites who rule the world. They overrule the health industry and control the world's financial system. That way they control the people, and you don't even know it. Since 1896, when Tesla discovered how the body could heal itself through frequencies, these most powerful technologies have been locked behind closed doors by this deep state cabal. Kept in private clinics. Used in exclusive recovery rooms by those who could afford to never be sick. While the world was given pills to manage symptoms, drugs known to break down the body's immune system, the Satan-worshipping Illuminati cabal foreign banker elites were regenerating at the cellular level. The cabal kept it from you because if you knew what they did, their whole medical and pharmaceutical industries would go broke. Couldn't have that. The cabal Rockefellers and Carnegies had made sure the health field rejected natural healing through proper nutrition way back in 1910. In 1910, Rockefeller funded the Flexner Report that led to the closure of medical schools teaching homeopathy, naturopathy and other alternative methods. It promoted science-based, pharmaceutical-centrism medicine, aligning with Rockefeller's investments in the pharmaceutical industry. Rockefeller's funding helped establish medical research institutions which became a hub for biomedical innovation. His influence shifted the focus of healthcare from holistic and preventive approaches to diagnosis and drug-based treatment. This led to the marginalization of osteopathy, chiropractic care, and herbal medicine, practices that were labeled unscientific. Their schools lost funding or were shut down, consolidating power within allopathic medicine. Rockefeller's efforts were strategically designed to shape public health policy. He donated millions to medical schools and public health initiatives, ensuring that his preferred model of medicine dominated. The transformation led to the modern healthcare system's reliance on pharmaceuticals, with medical education tightly regulated and standardized. This created a system that prioritizes treatment over prevention, and profits over patient-centered care. The Satan-worshipping Illuminati cabal foreign banker elites such as Rockefeller's world revolved around making and taking money. Long ago they had sold their souls to Satan. They held regular pedophile parties and child sacrifices in return for his promises of riches, power and glory. By 1913 these same Satan worshipper elites had taken control of U.S. taxpayer monies. It took them only 20 years to spend our gold-backed money and go broke. By 1933 their private corporation owned by the Illuminati cabal foreign bankers U.S. Incorporated declared bankruptcy. U.S. Incorporated owned the Federal Reserve, collected U.S. taxpayer monies through their own IRS and then sent the monies to the privately owned UK Crown in London. The Crown used the monies as they wished and then sent it on to the privately owned by Rothschild Vatican Bank and to their central banks across the world. About a month later the monies were returned to a Rothschild cabal-owned New York bank, which then lent the monies back, with interest, to the U.S. government to pay their federal employees. Congress has never approved a balanced budget, so the unregulated monies, along with owed interest, created the national debt. With the 1933 bankruptcy, the cabal needed to save their central banks across the world, so they pledged every American citizen as collateral to back U.S. debt. Gold was confiscated. Debt-based money was introduced. Your birth certificate was converted into a bond and sold to international investors. The system calculated your worth, traded it, and profited from you, without you ever seeing a cent. These elites don't see you as a free individual, they see you as an economic unit, taxed, tracked, and controlled to keep the system alive. And, they not only stole your taxpayer monies, but created a medical and pharmaceutical system where they stole your health as well. By 1954 the cabal had uncovered Nikola Tesla's discovery of what human frequency recovery through a medbed treatment could do, that the body was an electromagnetic system, and when you restore the frequency, the body heals itself. 75 years later in 2008 U.S. financial crisis was actually another bankruptcy of the independently owned by foreign bankers U.S. Incorporated. They had thrown away the gold standard in the Nixon era and functioned since on non-asset-backed printed fiat U.S. dollar. They couldn't even pay the interest owed to the Chinese elders on borrowed gold they used to begin the American economy back in 1913. The Chinese elders were a group of families who happened to be Chinese, but lived in the Philippines and owned 80% of the world's gold. They lent the gold out to countries to start their economies, as they had in 1913 with the cabal. Their contract with the cabal ran out in 2008, and when the cabal couldn't pay them the interest, let alone the principal, on the gold, the Chinese elders refused to renew the contract, thus creating the U.S. financial crisis, labeled the mortgage crisis. By 2011, when South Africa joined BRICS, Brazil, Russia, India, China and South Africa, the organization had formed a plan to save the world economy by doing a global currency reset. South Africa was described as a gold mine surrounded in diamonds and could back such an endeavor through creating Zimbabwe bonds. That's where Trump and his global military alliance came in to clean up the whole mess. A white hat alliance of Pentagon generals had been formed way back after President Lincoln's assassination. Lincoln was trying to release the nation from control of the cabal, so they killed him. The White Hats began forming a plan to release the world's economy from the Satan worshippers' grip. In November 1963, when the cabal assassinated President John F. Kennedy, the White Hats went full throttle in the plan to save the world. By 2015 they had succeeded in overthrowing the fixed election enough to place Donald Trump at the helm of the American people. Trump's first official act the morning he took office was to visit CIA headquarters, where he announced he was taking down their massive child sex trafficking ring used to blackmail Congress into doing the cabal's bidding. The problems he faced in America were enormous, though they affected the entire world. In the first few months of his presidency he conducted a tour of the world and organized the global military alliance to take down the cabal. One was the cabal's rule over our health. "Your kids are being poisoned for profit," U.S. Secretary of Health Robert Kennedy Jr. recently stated. "They, Big Pharma, are giving the kids these diseases and selling them high-cost drugs. That is where their real money is being made. They shoot your child full of 72+ doses by age 18, list the exact chronic illnesses on their own vaccine inserts as side effects, then cash in for life on the treatments. This isn't medicine. It's a business model built on lifelong customers they create themselves." Professor McHenry Ph.D. supported this when he explained how pharmaceutical companies were allowed to legally lie in marketing campaigns where they hid the real facts of what drugs did to the body. "We learned about these crimes of the medical and pharmaceutical fields through the COVID pandemic. It has proven to be a premeditated deep state conspiracy engineered by Bill Gates, Jeffrey Epstein, Dr. Fauci and the Rothschild family cabal. Two very large recent studies have confirmed that the COVID vax was not safe for human use." The FDA recently announced that there have been no independent studies done on the 72+ vaxes that were recommended for children, yet their side effects caused chronic illnesses as published on the Vax box. The pharmaceutical and medical establishments cash in on those side effects with a lifetime of drug treatments that were never designed to heal the body, only to further break it down. Another problem Trump faced was the massive inflows of unvetted border crossings that have been weaponized to supply high-level networks for child exploitation, serving high-ranking officials and state actors, as per verified military intelligence. Trump and his global military alliance has faced these problems head-on. On Saturday, August 8, 2026, massive cyber offensives and data breaches were neutralized in the central banking and federal communications infrastructure. The day before, on Friday, August 7, 2026 at 16:23 EST, Trump signed Executive Order Operation Final Accounting, which authorized the military to arrest deep state architects who have been committing treason against the country, some for 70 years. The next day, on Saturday, 8 August 2026 at 14:47 EST and simultaneously at 47 federal facilities, the military arrested 847 deep state architects who had coordinated with 23 foreign intelligence agencies to sell American secrets. Also on Saturday, 8 August 2026, massive cyber offensives and data breaches neutralizing central banking and federal communications infrastructure. The military also seized classified documents, financial records and communication logs that had been hidden for 70 years. They showed coordination between deep state operatives and the Chinese Communist Party and proved treason and financial crimes totaling $847 billion. The military has now seized that $847 billion in frozen assets from deep state operatives' offshore accounts, money laundering networks and black budget slush funds. U.S. forces have mobilized military strikes against Mexico's cartel empire, to hit cartel-run biolabs, child trafficking routes and CIA-linked black sites. U.S. Attorney General Todd Wallace Blanche has sent criminal referral requests to all 50 state attorney generals seeking prosecutions of Anthony Fauci and other top public health officials for their roles in the COVID criminal enterprise. The cited offenses included murder, terrorism, racketeering, manslaughter, human trafficking, elder abuse, false imprisonment and other serious crimes tied to COVID-era hospital policies, treatment protocols, mandates, and financial incentives. The evidence collected included named victims, family testimony, witness statements, legal briefs, financial records, and whistleblower accounts. Families and witnesses say patients were isolated from loved ones, denied requested treatments, subjected to lethal hospital protocols, and killed or seriously harmed while hospitals received financial incentives connected to COVID. According to Julian Assange, Trump has also signed a military arrest warrant charging Barack Obama with treason. Obama has been leading the deep state attack on our freedom. In the upcoming election, Trump can just sit back and do nothing, while the traitorous Democrats conspire with our foreign adversaries and use illegals to steal elections, overthrow our nation from within, and complete their communist takeover. Or, he can do what Trump does, act. Though, the problems are so vast that it's going to take more than the couple of years Trump has left in the president's seat. Perhaps an answer lay with going back to original concepts of the 1787 Constitution. A major pillar of the current military strategy involves the delegitimization of the 22nd Amendment. According to the below. Historically, the limitation of presidential terms was a voluntary tradition established by George Washington, but it was not codified until the mid-20th century. This amendment was a strategic maneuver by deep state networks to prevent a populist president from holding power long enough to dismantle entrenched administrative structures. The strategic marker Trump 2028 serves as a signal for the final phase of legal reconstruction. By asserting that fraud vitiates every legal layer built upon it, the panel suggests that the original 1787 Constitution, which contained no term limits, is being restored as the primary law of the land. Under this framework, the upcoming years are viewed not as an extension of a civilian term, but as a transition back to a primal republic of sovereigns. Trump 2028 bombshell, the 22nd Amendment, the end of the two-party system and the battle for a restored American republic. Possible timing, President Trump has given the green light. He has activated the Emergency Broadcast System, EBS, mobilized 300,000 troops, ordered the global military alliance to take over the mainstream fake news media and make mass arrests, Mr. Poole on Telegram Wednesday 19th of August, 2026. The EBS was set to trigger a 3-day event, followed by 10 days of communication darkness. Pedophile networks tied to suppressed healing tech face mass arrests under martial law on Telegram Wednesday 19th of August, 2026. No official time frame has been given where we will begin isolating at home for 3 to 6 weeks after the global military alliance suspended the media, internet, phones and took over TV and radio to present 8-hour documentaries 24/7 about what was going on while the military took down the Illuminati deep state cabal-controlled governments worldwide and made mass arrests of corrupt global elites, white hats on Telegram Tuesday, August 18, 2026. No official time frame has been given Trump CBS activation where we will isolate at home for 3 to 6 weeks as global martial law suspended the media, internet, phones and took over TV and radio to present 8-hour documentaries 24/7 about what was going on while the military took down the Illuminati deep state cabal-controlled governments worldwide and made mass arrests of corrupt global elites. See Medbed possible timing, 107, JFK Jr., Medbed activation on Telegram Thursday, August 20, 2026. On Thursday, August 20, 2026 107, JFK Jr., and top White Hat military alliance commanders confirmed JSR and QFS wealth transfers have ignited full funding for quantum medbed centers worldwide after live activation on Tuesday, August 18, 2026. And Starlink EBS miracle streams began on Wednesday 19 August, 2026. Proving the cabal's 50-year suppression of extraterrestrial frequency healing technology has finally collapsed under Alliance forces. Free perfect health floods every nation for patriots. On Thursday, August 20, 2026, JUDY QFS funds pour into 70,000 medbed centers across America and 209 nations. Full-body quantum scans complete in 3.2 seconds, mapping every toxin, injury, genetic defect and vaccine damage. DNA linking and consciousness transfer reverse all cabal toxin damage, generational trauma and vaccine injuries in 15 to 30-minute sessions. Underground tunnel survivors and trafficked children emerge with full organ, limb and DNA regeneration. Mass arrests of big pharma pedophile executives who hid the tech for profit and control accelerate under martial law. On Friday, August 21, 2026, portable home medbed units powered by Tesla Free Energy begin rapid mass distribution to every registered Patriot family. Limbs regrow overnight, spinal cords reconnect, terminal cancers vanish and age reversal of decades becomes everyday reality under full military protection. Leaked space program crystal chamber healing footage overwhelms remaining media blackouts as the truth explodes across the planet. On Saturday, 22nd of August, 2026, global free access expands rapidly as every wait list clears and chronic disease vanishes for millions of awakening patriots. Zim redemptions flood permanent community medbed hubs in every neighborhood. Humanity enters the golden age of unlimited vitality and perfect health while cabal control systems shatter completely forever. On Sunday, 23rd of August, 2026, massive worldwide victory celebrations mark medbed's permanent online status everywhere. Trump's epic address declares the total defeat of deep state medical tyranny. 10 days of darkness prepare the final Starlink EBS revelation of every suppressed miracle technology as patriots rise healed, awakened, sovereign and free forever. On Monday, August 24, 2026, ISO 20022 completes across all banking systems as QFS Gold-backed abundance funds infinite medbed expansion worldwide. Redemption centers open appointments for first week of September while the last cabal remnants face public military tribunals. Global currency reset. On Thursday, August 20, 2026 at exactly 8:14 p.m. Eastern, the old SWIFT Central Clearinghouse experienced a permanent database decoupling. The secondary handshake between the central banks of the G7 nations officially returned a terminal failure message. Thursday, 20 August 2026 Bruce, the big call, a higher-up said they were handling bonds in Miami, Geneva, and Reno. A military intel person said that as of 6 p.m. EST on Wednesday 19/20/26 there was a 5-day window where Tier 4B would receive notification to set exchange/redemption appointments and be able to start appointments. That would take it to Monday, August 24, 2026. On Thursday, 20th of August, Redemption Center leaders received saying that they should go into work on Friday, August 21, 2026 at 8:45 a.m. Thursday, August 20, 2026 Paymasters report full release. Direct confirmations have been sent to private transaction platforms in Reno and Zurich confirming that Tier 1 and Tier 2 payouts had been finalized. Tier 3 and Tier 4A, be next. If you're in the private groups, get ready now. Military movements confirmed to secure transition. Sources in Intel report increased security around major financial centers. Private security details have been deployed to Reno, Zurich, and Dubai. Special ops teams were making sure no foreign interference upsets this historic shift in global power. On Monday, August 24, 2026 the ISO 20022 messaging, that defines how banks transmit payment information, completes its transition across all major banking rails. For the first time in history SWIFT, Federal Reserve, European Central Bank, Bank of England, BRICS, IMF and all high-value cross-border payment systems will speak the same transaction language. The first week in September 2026 redemption centers will start processing live appointments in accordance with full GCR protocol. The schedule is already being filled with authorized, Tier 4B, participants, according to sources within 2 U.S. agencies. In the context of GCR, Global Currency Reset, JFK Jr. Command Center on Telegram Friday, August 21, 2026, in the realm of the Global Currency Reset, Tier 1 to 5 has an entirely different meaning. It represents a hierarchy of awareness, readiness, and access. Tier 1, central banks, sovereign treasuries, financial elites. Tier 2, private banking institutions, massive trusts, religious financial networks. Tier 3, historical bondholders, private wealth families, whales. Tier 4A, military-connected insiders and operatives. Tier 4B, the awakened digital community, YOU. Tier 5, The general unaware public. H. What we think we know as of Saturday 22nd of August. 2026, Friday August 21st 2026, breaking special report, the Outlaw Ledger, Canada is not a partner. It's an empire, Friday August 21st 2026, financial collapse warning, Professor Zhang calls the U.S. economy a Ponzi scheme, Scott Bessent fights back as the 50-year petrodollar system begins to crack. Friday August 21st 2026, bombshell announcement, President Trump doubles down on CBDC ban. I signed a historic executive order banning any attempt to create a central bank digital currency. Friday, August 21, 2026, explosive report, Scott Bessent erupts over tariff refunds. The American people had the money. And we were forced to give IT back. Friday, August 21, 2026, blackout files, Gates, Bezos, and Thiel exposed, funding the world's largest pedophile network, turning schools into grooming labs under a total media blackout. Friday, August 21, 2026, breaking U.S. debt clock detonation, viral coming soon message inspires millions with vision of a new American economic system featuring 0% income tax, 0% property tax and 0% gains tax, May 16, 2026. Friday, August 21, 2026, Edward Snowden sounds the alarm, the digital surveillance machine is already here, they can control your device, your data, your life, Joe Rogan. Friday, August 21, 2026, boom. RFK Jr. exposes the lie, they had to destroy ivermectin and hydroxychloroquine, ivermectin, a drug that saved billions. Breaking, the U.S. military has shocked Iran, quietly establishing a shipping lane in and out of the Strait of Hormuz where now millions of barrels of oil are being moved per day, Axios, citing 2 U.S. officials. Some nights have hit 15 to 20 million barrels. This comes as President Trump and Scott Bessent confirmed pipelines are surging construction to bypass the strait. The Hormuz Strait's not gonna be quite as important in the past. The covert shipping strategy is beyond simply escorting outbound ships, Axios reports. The military is helping tankers enter the Gulf through the strait, pick up oil and leave fully. No nuke. No strait to hold hostage. J exposed. Your birth certificate is a financial bond, and you're the collateral. From the moment you were born, a system of control was placed over you. Your birth certificate is not just a document, it's a financial instrument, a bond worth billions, traded as collateral to fuel a corrupt financial system. You were never free. You were turned into a commodity, a human asset leveraged to sustain national debt. This is the greatest deception ever perpetrated, and they never wanted you to find out. Ever wonder why every government requires a birth certificate? It's not about identity, it's about ownership. Just like a ship arriving at port requires a manifest for its cargo, your birth certificate serves as proof that you were entered into their economic system as property. Your name in all capital letters. That's a corporate entity, your legal fiction. That red serial number. It's a stock exchange number, used to trade your value in global financial markets. You've been turned into a financial instrument, a resource exploited by the elite while you remain unaware. In 1933, the U.S. declared bankruptcy and pledged every citizen as collateral to back its debt. Gold was confiscated. Debt-based money was introduced. And you became an economic asset. Your birth certificate was converted into a bond and sold to international investors. The system calculates your worth, trades it, and profits from you, without you ever seeing a cent. This isn't conspiracy, it's documented financial fraud. Every government-issued certificate represents ownership. A stock certificate means shares in a company. A land certificate signifies property ownership. And a birth certificate, it signifies ownership of you. The elites don't see you as a free individual, they see you as an economic unit, taxed, tracked, and controlled to keep the system alive. The truth is undeniable. The system thrives on your ignorance. It has turned every individual into a financial instrument, ensuring you remain blind to your own enslavement. But now, you know. And knowledge is power. You can either continue living as a commodity, unknowingly feeding their machine, or you can take back control. The choice is yours. Judy Byington, confirmed intel, the Tier 4B protocol is now in use. What was once laughed at as rumor and fantasy is now being carried out in a controlled way. Iraq and Zimbabwe are quietly leading a change in the economy that is happening outside of public markets. This change is happening because of structure, security, and silence. It is no longer just a guess that the IQD, VND, and ZIM will be worth more. It is a fact of life. Tier 4B is up and running. The quietness is on purpose. The system is moving. Ariel, $3.22 is the calibrated settlement rate, the figure built into the back-end reconciliation architecture across CBI contingency contracts, cross-border oil pricing templates, and the tokenized asset framework established under Section 10505 of the Clarity Act. This is the rate the system executes against. It was chosen because it absorbs legacy obligations, satisfies IMF Article 4 parity thresholds, and aligns with the gold-backed recalibration without fracturing Iraq's internal debt servicing capacity. Claire, KTFA, video from UAE News, Iraq wants to delete zeros from the dinar, but will this help its economy? Sandy Ingram, Iraqi TV was preparing people for the deletion of the zeros, but I wanted to make sure you understand the difference between what Iraq is discussing and what Iraq has actually approved. The Council of Ministers has not made a final decision to delete 3 zeros from the dinar. Earlier reports made it sound as though a decision had already been made. The idea of deleting the 3 zeros and restructuring Iraq's currency is once again being seriously discussed within Iraq, but as of right now, there has been no official announcement giving us an implementation date. The CBI has not said a DN thing, and that is what you have to remember. The IQD is a closed currency. That means it's used in its own country and not in other countries. Once you leave Iraq, there are not a lot of places that you can exchange the currency. The Central Bank of Iraq put limits on how much money you can exchange a day. Pimpy, why hasn't Iraq redenominated earlier? Because first of all, it was very CT. A lot of these politicians had a lot of the Iraqi dinar stolen, so they didn't want it to redenominate, just like they don't want it to redenominate now. Don't be surprised if the coordinated framework jumps up or other Iraqi politicians try to fight a redenomination, because all the currency they have in country and out of country would all of a sudden become obsolete. No good. Are they going to be able to exchange that? No. How are you going to bring in trillions of dollars worth of Iraq dinar and explain to the people where the hell you got that money from? They would be arrested. That's why they haven't done it sooner, not to mention their relationship with Iran. Iran had sanctions, and so they ran a lot of money through Iraq. We don't want them to delete the zeros. Change the exchange rate, but don't delete the zeros. When it's time to change the banknotes, you want to make sure you go to an institution that you know is changing the old banknotes for the new banknotes, because if you don't, you lose everything. Jeff, they'll probably have 90 days to turn in large notes to get small ones. That's in country. The 90-day expiration of the large notes will apply to everybody. When the rate changes, we're all going to have 90 days to run them in. In Iraq, they're going to get smaller notes. Outside of Iraq, you're going to do a currency swap and get your country's native currency. In our case, we'll be turning in large note to the dollar. The absolute biggest secret in Iraq is when are they going to complete the cabinet? They won't tell you that. Why? Because completing the cabinet is what ushers in the rate change. That's why it is the biggest secret. For everyone wanting to poo-poo on the dinar investor and say, look, they're telling us they're redenominating their currency. It's going to be a neutral event. This is exactly what I always expected. If there was going to be a revaluation or reinstatement of Iraq's dinar to its former value or increase it to $1, it would be accompanied by talk of a redenomination. If you took away all of my money today, I would not sell one Iraqi dinar at all. That's the truth of the matter. That's how much I believe in this investment. That is where my conviction lies. We are getting to the end of this road, that is for sure. There is going to be a resolution. We are all going to have our questions answered here in the very near future. Iraq is telling us what they are getting ready to do. There's going to be a lot of happy people and a lot of upset people. If you're reading this, you're probably going to be one of those happy people. Militiaman, 1,310 is not a rear. 1,310 is the current official exchange rate the Central Bank of Iraq uses for formal transactions. It is an administered rate, not a market-determined one. A rear, real effective exchange rate, is different. It's a managed move that looks at the dinar's real value against a basket of currencies adjusted for inflation. The Iraqi dinar is not freely commercially traded on major global markets the way currencies like the euro, yen or pound are. 1,310 is not a real effective exchange rate. Frank 26, KTFA. Iraq boots on the ground report. Omar, TV saying the project to delete the zeros from Iraq's dinar is now under discussion within the central bank. Caparoni, I can't say it often enough. There is no significant RV of the Iraqi dinar. Not how monetary policy works, especially when Iraq has over 100 trillion dinar in circulation and a net worth of only about $16 trillion. People need to stop looking for some kind of single event like it's a lottery ticket. This is a country's currency. This week Iran has been advertising a bounty of $30,000 to kill American service members, plus Iran released proof that Jeffrey Epstein was alive, in Israel, and blackmailing FBI Director Kash Patel. If that wasn't bad enough news for the week, it has been revealed that since its existence in the early 1800s and for the sake of profit, our own big pharma and medical industry have been trying to keep our bodies sick, rather than giving them the nutrition needed to heal. For years Big Pharma has been poisoning our kids for their own profit. Recently 2 very large studies confirmed that the COVID vax was not safe for human use. There were no valid studies on 72-plus vaxes done outside of the vax producers themselves. Yet, Big Pharma, with the full backing of doctors and the medical industry, advertised 72-plus vax doses need to be taken by children before the age of 18. They openly published that the vaxes carry chronic illness side effects. Then when those side effects occur, they cash in with a lifetime of drug treatments that were never designed to heal the body, only to further break it down. Your kids are being poisoned for profit, U.S. Secretary of Health Robert Kennedy Jr. recently stated. They, Big Pharma, are giving the kids these diseases and selling them the $600 EpiPens, Adderall, albuterol inhalers and anti-seizure, diabetes and arthritis medications. That is where their real money is being made. They shoot your child full of 72-plus doses by age 18, list the exact chronic illnesses on their own vaccine inserts as side effects, then cash in for life on the treatments. This isn't medicine. It's a business model built on lifelong customers they create themselves. Globalists in the pharmaceutical industry were just a few of the deep state treasonous criminals Trump and his white hats have been fighting, a battle that was finally coming to an end. On Friday, August 7, 2026 at 16:23 EST, Trump signed Executive Order Operation Final Accounting, which authorized the military to arrest deep state architects who have been committing treason against the country, some for 70 years. The next day, on Saturday 8 August, 2026 at 14:47 EST and simultaneously at 47 federal facilities, the military arrested 847 deep state architects who had coordinated with 23 foreign intelligence agencies to sell American secrets. The military also seized classified documents, financial records and communication logs that had been hidden for 70 years. They showed coordination between deep state operatives and the Chinese Communist Party and proved treason and financial crimes totaling $847 billion. The military has now seized that $847 billion in frozen assets from deep state operatives' offshore accounts, money laundering networks and black budget slush funds. Saving children from sex trafficking was the bottom line for Trump and his global military alliance. It was their mission to save our liberties, the nation and world from the Satan-worshipping deep state cabal. This Illuminati deep state cabal had developed a very sophisticated international child sex trafficking organization that for years had been blackmailing Congress to influence legislation and secure ongoing funding from U.S. taxpayers. Back in 2012, the International Common Law Court of Justice in Brussels established that the deep state child sex trafficking ring was run by the Vatican with headquarters in Ukraine and Zionist Israel. Jeffrey Epstein ran the blackmail schemes to control the political world, while Mother Teresa, with help of the Clinton Foundation and other global elites, was a child trafficker who sold the innocents into sex slavery, making $50 million to $100 million a year for the Vatican. Other elites made even billions more off of torturing the children in their bioweapon underground dump tunnels and then collecting and selling their traumatized adrenochrome blood and organs to the elite crowd. Both Epstein and Bill Gates were deeply involved in mass-producing human clones for the purpose of taking complete control over the planet. DNA was collected from abducted children around the world. Mass-produced clones, raised by AI caregivers, implanted with biometric chips linked directly to Microsoft servers, all under the guise of quantum research and NSA channels. The plan was for a digital ID for the life of a post-human slave race. Trump had been conducting covert operations against off-grid biotech cloning sites since January 2025. He authorized the enforcement of Directive Genesis lockdown to shut down cloning centers, freeze Gates assets and confiscate biometric data banks under QFS jurisdiction. U.S. Marines raided a private island in July 2025 and took cryo units containing 3,000 embryos and drives of child DNA labeled with Gates barcodes. High-energy biochambers have been hidden on private islands for years, as revealed by subterranean scans. Ally Carter claimed she was born into this sophisticated international child sex trafficking ring that catered to global and political elites, as did fellow satanic ritual abuse survivor Australian Fiona Barnett. "I am a victim of CIA child trafficking, Luciferian ritual abuse, and Project MKUltra," Barnett claimed in a witness statement taken through the Australian court. Barack Obama, his male partner First Lady Michelle Obama, Joe Biden, John Travolta, Beyoncé and many more celebrities and political elites raped and tortured Ally Carter throughout childhood according to her mind-blowing interview on The Stu Peters Show back on Wednesday 10 November 2021. Such child trafficking in an international child sex ring was known to be funded by U.S. taxpayer dollars funneled through the CIA's black budget to Queen Elizabeth's City of London, and then on to an office at the Vatican. Both the Queen and popes have been litigated through the International Common Law Court of Justice in Brussels and found guilty of organizing satanic child sacrifice rites on a regular basis, especially using as victims native children in Canada, where over 50,000 have gone missing from mainly Catholic residential schools. Barnett's court document revealed child trafficking connections to the White House and even Watergate. Retired NYPD Detective James Rothstein was appointed to the first U.S. task force to investigate this child trafficking operation which, he found, went all the way up to the White House, the court document read. Rothstein, who arrested the key Watergate perpetrator, said Watergate solely concerned this human compromise racket, and specifically was an attempt to obtain a list of compromised pedophile VIPs and their proclivities that was held at the Democratic National Headquarters. Evidently Detective Rothstein found that the CIA was behind a blackmail operation in which child prostitutes were used to honey trap and compromise politicians, military brass, top businessmen, and key government officials, which both Carter and Barnett were subjected to from birth, throughout childhood and on through their teenage years. Ally claimed that as a child and later in foster care, she was raped and trafficked by celebrities and politicians. She discussed how California Child Protective Services trafficked her in underground tunnels to Buckingham Palace and under the Getty Museum. Child Services, FBI, schools and law enforcement were involved in the cover-up of the abuse of her and other children. Most alarming, both Ally and Fiona claimed that the satanic ritual abuse and sex trafficking of children was not only still going on throughout the nation and globe, but involved millions of tortured and abused children who were often raped and killed in global elite satanic child sacrifice rites in honor of Satan. Obamacare was established for child sex trafficking was one of the most startling revelations of the Trump-Musk DOJ investigations uncovered, yet it has yet to be even mentioned by the mainstream media. Evidently Obama has been hiding what really happened with illegal immigrant children under his watch as president as shown by revelations that the practice went back to at least 2013. By Saturday 8 August 2026 President Trump had had enough of the deep state shenanigans. As commander-in-chief of the worldwide military alliance, Trump activated his wartime powers, deployed the U.S. military and a coalition of 300,000 troops worldwide to make mass arrests of pedophiles and treasonous global elites, plus announced activation of the GCR laws, which return taxpayer monies back to the people. The U.S. military had been stationed in 360 cities anticipating Supreme Court directives on emergency petitions which could dissolve compromised federal jurisdictions. The global military alliance was accelerating mass arrests and military tribunals targeting over 500,000 deep state cabal political and global elites. Meanwhile, the Starlink satellite system, quantum financial system and stellar blockchain network have integrated for a secure and transparent worldwide flow of information. You are advised to stock up on food, water, cash and supplies. You won't be able to access stores or services during a 10 to 12 day period. Phones will only work for 911 calls, but the military will make available a Signal app which will secure regular cell phone use through the new Starlink satellite system and quantum computer. Across the globe during those 10 days and in preparation for migration into the new quantum financial system, banks would be closed, while ATMs and credit and debit cards would not work. Soon every phone on the planet would be hit with a loud, unmistakable alert signal from Starlink satellites, bypassing the corrupt media channels controlled by the elites. On cell phones worldwide 7 trumpets will sound, alerting us to the declaration of global martial law. EBS text messages will be introduced and we will be urged to tune into our TV, radio and/or internet. The EBS alert will be activated globally but in phases. Depending on your location, you might get it slightly earlier or later. A temporary global lockdown window will secure the broadcast phase. You will have 5 hours to get to a place of your choice where you will stay for 10 days. The signal will be followed by a broadcast from Trump and military leaders. They will deliver real-time updates on the takedown of the deep state, mass arrests, and the collapse of the corrupt financial system. You'll learn how FEMA, the FBI, and other agencies have been weaponized against the people, staging false flags and disasters to maintain control. The EBS broadcast could last up to 10 days, depending on ground conditions. During this time, there will be no internet, no social media, no TV, no mainstream news, only pure truth broadcasts as to what actually was going on. After the EBS would be a whole new world. They call it the Golden Dome. JCR and ISRA, new quantum finance system. New golden age. No taxes, new technologies. UI's universal high income. New electromagnetic frequencies. No more attacks, low frequencies. No more electric EMF grid. Free energy. 6G plus good. No EMF, no Wi-Fi. Free Starlink internet. Quantum phones, calls, text, internet free. Free medical care, free insurance program. What we thought we knew, but didn't really know and now are supposed to know but don't have a clue. With clones, doubles, made-up movies Hollywood style and Trump's military alliance throwing more popcorn at us, it gets so confusing. Iran just put a $30,000 price on the head of every American service member. $60,000 if a woman does the killing. This is not escalation. This is the true face of the regime we are dealing with. Don't reduce a cash bounty on American blood to rhetoric. This is who they are. This is how they fight. RFK Jr. on Big Pharma, your kids aren't vaccine deficient. They're being poisoned for profit. They are giving the kids these diseases and selling them the $600 EpiPens. Adderall. Albuterol inhalers. Anti-seizure medications. Diabetes medication. Arthritis medication. That is where their real money is. They shoot your child full of 72+ doses by age 18, list the exact chronic illnesses on their own vaccine inserts as side effects, then cash in for life on the treatments. This isn't medicine. It's a business model built on lifelong customers they create themselves. The chart with upwards trend emoji, heart attack, plus 286%. Dose 2, chart with upwards trend emoji, stroke, plus 240%. Dose 1, chart with upwards trend emoji, brain clots, plus 223%. Dose 1, chart with upwards trend emoji, brain inflammation, plus 278%. Dose 1, chart with upwards trend emoji, myocarditis, plus 510%. Dose 2, chart with upwards trend emoji, coronary artery disease, plus 244%. Dose 2, chart with upwards trend emoji, cardiac arrhythmia, plus 199%. Dose 1, chart with upwards trend emoji, Guillain-Barré syndrome, plus 149%. Dose 1. Former Fauci advisor David Morans pleads guilty to conspiracy to defraud the United States by destroying COVID records. He admitted to plotting with others to conceal and destroy federal records related to COVID-19 origins research and a terminated NIH-backed coronavirus grant in order to evade Freedom of Information Act, FOIA, requests in the Federal Records Act. Maximum sentence, 5 years in prison, a fine of up to $250,000, and up to 3 years of supervised release. Iran released proof Jeffrey Epstein is alive in Israel and blackmailing Kash Patel. Iran shocked the world by hacking FBI Director Kash Patel's personal emails. But here's what the corporate media won't touch: Iran didn't hack Patel. They hacked Israel. And it gets darker. The Handala hack team says this is only the beginning. They've got more. Much, much more. See possible timing. President Trump has given the green light. He has activated the Emergency Broadcast System, EBS, mobilized 300,000 troops, ordered the global military alliance to take over the mainstream fake news media and make mass arrests. The EBS was set to trigger a 3-day event, followed by 10 days of communication darkness. Pedophile networks tied to suppressed healing tech face mass arrests under martial law. No official time frame has been given where we will begin isolating at home for 3 to 6 weeks after the global military alliance suspended the media, internet, phones and took over TV and radio to present 8-hour documentaries 24/7 about what was going on while the military took down the Illuminati deep state cabal-controlled governments worldwide and made mass arrests of corrupt global elites. No official time frame has been given Trump CBS activation where we will isolate at home for 3 to 6 weeks as global martial law suspended the media, internet, phones and took over TV and radio to present 8-hour documentaries 24/7 about what was going on while the military took down the Illuminati deep state cabal-controlled governments worldwide and made mass arrests of corrupt global elites. Medbed possible timing, 107, JFK Jr., Medbed activation on Telegram Thursday, August 20, 2026, on Thursday, August 20, 2026 107, JFK Jr., and top White Hat military alliance commanders confirmed JCR and QFS wealth transfers have ignited full funding for quantum Medbed centers worldwide after live activation on Tuesday, August 18, 2026. And Starlink EBS miracle streams began on Wednesday 19 August, 2026. Proving the cabal's 50-year suppression of extraterrestrial frequency healing technology has finally collapsed under Alliance forces. Free perfect health floods every nation for patriots. On Thursday, August 20, 2026, JCR QFS funds pour into 70,000 Medbed centers across America and 209 nations. Full-body quantum scans complete in 3.2 seconds mapping every toxin, injury, genetic defect and vaccine damage. DNA linking and consciousness transfer reverse all cabal toxin damage, generational trauma and vaccine injuries in 15 to 30-minute sessions. Underground tunnel survivors and trafficked children emerge with full organ, limb and DNA regeneration. Mass arrests of big pharma pedophile executives who hid the tech for profit and control accelerate under martial law. On Friday, August 21, 2026, portable home Medbed units powered by Tesla Free Energy begin rapid mass distribution to every registered Patriot family. Limbs regrow overnight, spinal cords reconnect, terminal cancers vanish and age reversal of decades becomes everyday reality under full military protection. Leaked space program crystal chamber healing footage overwhelms remaining media blackouts as the truth explodes across the planet. On Saturday 22nd of August, 2026, global free access expands rapidly as every wait list clears and chronic disease vanishes for millions of awakening patriots. Zim redemptions flood permanent community Medbed hubs in every neighborhood. Humanity enters the golden age of unlimited vitality and perfect health while cabal control systems shatter completely forever. On Sunday 23rd of August, 2026, massive worldwide victory celebrations mark Medbed's permanent online status everywhere. Trump's epic address declares the total defeat of deep state medical tyranny. 10 days of darkness prepare the final Starlink EBS revelation of every suppressed miracle technology as patriots rise healed, awakened, sovereign and free forever. On Monday, August 24, 2026, ISO 20022 completes across all banking systems as QFS Gold-backed abundance funds infinite Medbed expansion worldwide. Redemption centers open appointments for first week of September while the last cabal remnants face public military tribunals. EBS timing, EBS deep briefing. Read carefully. For decades you were told emergency alerts were just storm sirens. They were more. The Emergency Broadcast System, EBS, is the override key, the signal that cuts through every network. When rehearsal becomes execution, screens freeze, then truth speaks. What EBS really is: a sovereign override, not a TV feature. It bypasses cable, satellite, radio, cellular at once, a layered protocol, ease, civilian, plus national override, federal, plus military net, harden, Starlink redundancy, Odin routing pushes the same packet through multiple orbital paths. The silent tests, trumpet codes, tones inside routine alerts. Timing equals key exchange, red channels, restricted bands measuring latency drift, quantum sync, alerts arriving inside a 0.00x window equals clock broadcast. Timeline windows, Sept 15 to 17, 2026, soft blackout drills, 11 to 17 minutes overrides. Watch switchovers between terrestrial and orbital, Sept 22, 2026, full dress rehearsal. Stress tests on rural towers, relays, legacy boxes. Non-standard tones equals you saw it. Sep 28-30, 2026, final quiet phase. Keys locked, routes hardened. Expect odd maintenance notices, October 1, 2026, initial disclosure packets. 12-minute segments seeded as public service. Familiar names speaking carefully, November 11, 2026, the great reveal. 11/11 is a sync ritual. Expect tribunal feeds, archives, timelines. What you'll see: 3 tones freeze forced caption, stream pins on top, no switching apps, crawls replace tickers. Logos vanish, segment, context evidence directive. How to prepare, charge devices. Save this channel. Hard copy contacts, headphones ready, some tones hidden, ignore breaking news links. They're traps. Rumor control, rumor, EBS equals martial law everywhere. Reality, targeted ops protect civilians, rumor, if I miss it, it's gone. Reality, replays roll in waves. Why they fear it: EBS resets the format. It kills monopoly of narration. Neutral screen equals lethal truth. QFS tie-in, financial packets run separate but timelines rhyme, QFS syncs often bookend EBS rehearsals. Disclosure plus settlement equals one-op, banking maintenance after alerts equals ledger fences rising. Strange signals, airband chatter spikes while TV calm, ISP maintenance at odd hours in many cities, legacy radios suddenly clean, no hiss. Remember, narratives are software. EBS equals factory reset, anchors go quiet when prompter dies, you were never powerless. Just throttled. Your role: 1. Stay calm. Document. 2. Note time, length, tone. 3. Share only first-hand details. 4. Don't flood with theories, signal beats noise. Symbol keys, trumpets equals tone handshakes, whales equals archives surfacing, keys equals decryption milestones, blackout equals media silence, not collapse. Bottom line, EBS isn't to scare you. It frees the line. When tones arrive, remember who you are, what you've seen, and why they fought so hard to keep you asleep. Turn on notifications. Forward this to 3 people. WHO think it's just TV. Stay inside this channel until the last packet drops. F Global Currency Reset. At exactly 8:14 p.m. Eastern, August 20, 2026, the old SWIFT Central Clearinghouse experienced a permanent database decoupling. The secondary handshake between the central banks of the G7 nations officially returned a terminal failure message. Thursday, August 20, 2026 Paymasters report full release. Direct confirmations have been sent to private transaction platforms in Reno and Zurich confirming that Tier 1 and Tier 2 payouts had been finalized. Tier 3 and Tier 4A, be next. If you're in the private groups, get ready now. Military movements confirmed to secure transition. Sources in Intel report increased security around major financial centers. Private security details have been deployed to Reno, Zurich, and Dubai. Special ops teams were making sure no foreign interference upsets this historic shift in global power. On Monday, August 24, 2026, the ISO 20022 messaging, that defines how banks transmit payment information, completes its transition across all major banking rails. For the first time in history, SWIFT, Federal Reserve, European Central Bank, Bank of England, BRICS, IMF and all high-value cross-border payment systems will speak the same transaction language. The first week in September 2026, redemption centers will start processing live appointments in accordance with full GCR protocol. The schedule is already being filled with authorized, Tier 4B, participants, according to sources within 2 U.S. agencies. Thursday, 20 August 2026 Bruce, the big call, a higher-up said they were handling bonds in Miami, Geneva and Reno. The military was now giving out the intel. A military intel person said that as of 6 p.m. EST on Wednesday 19/20/26 there was a 5-day window where Tier 4B would receive notification to set exchange/redemption appointments and be able to start appointments. That would take it to Monday, August 24, 2026. Redemption center leaders received an email on Thursday, August 20, 2026 that they should go into work on Friday, August 21, 2026 at 8:45 a.m. $50 billion of U.S. Treasury bonds have been bought back from Venezuela to make their currency stronger. I Save the Children. Lady Gaga attended a satanic retreat with Marina Abramovich, who tested her on a bizarre spiritual journey filled with witchcraft. incantations, occult practices, and the original ritualistic sacrifice she made for fame and fortune when she was nobody. Nothing is free, everything comes with a price. Sometimes that price just happens to be the life of another. You wonder why people close to celebrities or their own family members always end up dead. There are no coincidences. Everyone should be speaking out for God's children. Linwood, Dutch Force 17 on X. Everyone, and I mean every citizen, should be speaking out God's children. 2 hearts emoji, revolving hearts emoji, rose emoji, dove emoji, Africa emoji, dizzy emoji. The time for excuses is over. Black exclamation mark emoji. Now is the time for action. Now is the time to rise up. Military is the only way. Crossed swords emoji, crossed swords emoji. What brings you to the battlefield? Black question mark emoji. Are you here for the fame? At Maxwell, Gates and Epstein Island, explosive claims. Viral posts claim Ghislaine Maxwell exposed a secret cloning operation involving Bill Gates, Epstein Island, intelligence agencies and thousands of lab-grown children. The story alleges hidden biotech labs, DNA harvesting, implanted chips and covert military raids. Thursday, August 20, 2026. Ohio Gate rabbit hole. Philomeno on X. Have you been down the Ohio Gate rabbit hole? Never forget why we started. It always was, and still is, about the children. Michael Jackson's sister tried to expose his killer. Whoopi Goldberg immediately shut her down. LaToya Jackson was on television and ready to talk. She said someone else was inside Michael's house the night he died. She claimed she knew exactly who it was. When the host asked her to name them, she started to go there. And Whoopi Goldberg immediately shut it down. LaToya has long said her brother told her repeatedly, "They are going to kill me." The reason, according to her, was his massive music publishing catalog including the Beatles' rights. She called Dr. Conrad Murray the fall guy in a larger conspiracy and said the amount of propofol in Michael's system was enough to kill an elephant. 15 years later the clip is circulating again and people can't believe how close she came to saying the name on live TV. He served prison time for exposing satanic ritual abuse in Utah. Santa's Tales of Jail is not your typical Christmas story. Bad Santa is candid and defiant as he delivers a scathing indictment on our weaponized system of justice. Unfortunately, this isn't just Santa's story, it is a warning to every American. If they can do this to Santa and a sitting President of the United States, they can, and will, do it to you. What we think we know. As of Friday, August 21, 2026, California Democrat mayor just quit after admitting she was a Chinese communist agent. Eileen Wang, mayor of Arcadia, stepped down after striking a plea deal and admitting she acted as an illegal foreign agent for the Chinese government, spreading Beijing's propaganda in the U.S. under their direction. She faces up to 10 years in federal prison. How many more are still in office? In 2011, a neuroscientist at MIT, Dr. Li Huizai, made a discovery that should have been on the front page of every newspaper on Earth. Emergency broadcast system on Telegram. Thursday, August 20, 2026. She exposed mice with advanced Alzheimer's disease to a flickering light flashing at exactly 40 Hz, 40 times a second. Nothing more. No dope. No operation. Light of a particular frequency. Within an hour the amyloid beta plaques in their brains, the protein deposits that define Alzheimer's, started to dissolve. Not slow at all. Not slowly. In 60 minutes plaque levels were reduced by 50% after 7 days of daily exposure at a 40 Hz. The mice then regained their memory. Their neurons began firing in sync again. Microglia, the brain's immune cells, were activated and began cleaning up the toxic buildup like a cleaning crew that had been asleep for years. The study appeared in Nature, the planet's most prestigious scientific journal. Peer-reviewed. Reproduced. Verified. That was 2016. Year is 2026. Alzheimer's affects 40 million people worldwide. Pharmaceutical companies earn $13 billion a year on drugs that don't alter the course of Alzheimer's disease. Not one of them. They slow it down. Possibly. Temporarily. At $26,000 per patient per year. It costs less than $1 to make a 40 Hz light. Dr. Tsai remains at MIT. Her research goes on. It is in phase 3 human trials. But you'll never see this on the news at evening time. You won't hear your doctor talk about it. You can't buy it at any drugstore. Because you can't sustain a $13 billion industry on a free frequency. The light is 40 Hz. The frequency is a real. The science is settled. And there are still 40 million people waiting for permission to use it. Med beds, the children's hospitals know. They have known since 2014. A pediatric oncologist just sent us his resignation letter. To the Board of Directors, St. Jude Children's Research Hospital. Effective immediately, I resign. I have spent 19 years in pediatric oncology. I have treated 2,300 children with cancer. I have watched 814 of them die. I am writing this letter because I cannot carry the weight of what I know for one more day. In 2014, I was invited to a closed-door presentation at a medical conference in Geneva. The presentation was titled, Non-Invasive Electromagnetic Approaches to Pediatric Tumor Regression. It was not listed in the public program. The presenter, whose name I will not reveal for his safety, showed us data from 340 pediatric cancer cases treated with frequency-based therapy between 2009 and 2014. 312 out of 340 children achieved complete tumor remission, average treatment time, 3 sessions of 25 minutes each, side effects, 0, recurrence rate, 4%, age range, 2 to 16 years old. 312 children. Cured. No chemotherapy. No radiation. No hair loss. No vomiting. No organ damage. No death. I sat in that room with 40 other pediatric oncologists. We all saw the same data. We all understood what it meant. Then we were told, this technology is not approved for civilian use. Any attempt to replicate, discuss, or disseminate these findings will result in immediate termination and criminal prosecution. You are bound by the non-disclosure terms of your conference registration. We went home. We went back to our hospitals. We went back to injecting children with chemotherapy that we knew was unnecessary. I went back to room 4B. That's where we do pediatric chemo at my hospital. Room 4B. I went back to holding the hands of 6-year-olds while poison dripped into their veins. I went back to telling mothers, we are doing everything we can. We were not doing everything we could. We were doing everything we were allowed to do. Since 2014, I have personally administered chemotherapy to 847 children. I know, with absolute certainty, that at least 70% of them could have been cured in 75 minutes with zero pain. Instead, I gave them 6 to 18 months of chemical torture. I watched their hair fall out. I watched them vomit until they had nothing left. I watched their parents sell their homes to pay for treatment that I knew was inferior to technology that already existed. I watched 214 of those children die. 214 children. Dead. Since 2014. Under my care. While I knew I am not asking for forgiveness. There is no forgiveness for this. I am asking for this letter to reach every parent who has ever been told there is nothing more we can do. Because that sentence is a lie. It has been a lie since at least 2014. There is more they can do. There is a treatment that cures pediatric cancer in 75 minutes with zero side effects. It exists. It works. 312 children proved it works. Your doctor knows. Your hospital knows. The board of directors knows. They chose money over your child's life. I chose my career over your child's life. I will not choose it one more day. To the 214 families whose children I failed, I am sorry. I am sorry I was a coward. I am sorry I chose silence. I am sorry I let the system convince me that obedience was the same as ethics. It is not. Obedience killed your children. My obedience killed your children. This letter is not enough. Nothing will ever be enough. But the silence ends today. Name withheld. Pediatric oncologist. 19 years. 2,300 patients. 814 deaths. 214 preventable. He watched 214 children die knowing the cure existed. He stayed silent for 10 years. He is not silent anymore. Neither are we. Share this for every child who deserves 75 minutes instead of 18 months of poison. The Flexner Report of 1910, the moment modern medicine was stolen by oil tycoons. Before 1910, medicine was a diverse landscape of herbalism, homeopathy, and frequency healing. Then, John D. Rockefeller hired a non-physician to standardize education, effectively turning doctors into sales representatives for the petrochemical industry. You aren't being treated, you are being managed by a century-old business plan. In the late 1800s, the medical world was a free market of ideas. There were schools for naturopathy, chiropractic, eclectic medicine, and homeopathy. These institutions focused on the vital force and natural cures. However, this was a problem for John D. Rockefeller and Andrew Carnegie, who were looking for a way to monopolize the healthcare industry to create a market for their new petrochemical-based drugs. The suppressed coup. In 1910, the Rockefeller Foundation funded the Flexner Report. Abraham Flexner, who was not a doctor but an educator, was sent to evaluate every medical school in North America. His standard was simple: if a school didn't focus exclusively on surgery and synthetic drugs, it was labeled unscientific. The shutdown. Following the report, over half of all medical schools in the U.S. were forced to close. The takeover, the remaining schools were given massive grants by Rockefeller and Carnegie, provided they changed their curriculum to focus on germ theory and chemical interventions. The erasure, natural healing, nutrition, and electromedicine were literally scrubbed from the textbooks. By the 1920s, a doctor could lose their license for even suggesting that a patient change their diet to cure a disease. The resulting paradigm. This is why your doctor today spends 7 years in school but receives less than 20 hours of nutrition training. The system was designed to produce drug prescribers. The goal of the Rockefeller medicine model was never to cure disease, which is a one-time transaction, but to manage symptoms, which is a lifetime of revenue. Why is this suppressed? Because if you understand that the current medical system is a petrochemical monopoly, you realize that you have the right to seek the ancient, natural, and frequency-based healing methods that were stolen from us. They want you to believe that anything outside their standard of care is quackery, when in reality, their standard was created to sell oil-based chemicals. The industry wants you to forget that before 1910, the human body was treated as a holistic, self-healing system. They want you to believe that health comes from a laboratory, not from the earth. How to reclaim your sovereignty. Research pre-1910 medicine. Look into the work of eclectic physicians and homeopaths from the 19th century. Question the standard. Realize that your doctor is following a protocol designed by the pharmaceutical industry, not a personalized healing plan. Support holistic education. Seek practitioners who treat the body as an electrical and biological whole, not a collection of symptoms. N. The History of the House of Rothschild. Project Odin Martial Law on Telegram Thursday, August 20, 2026. The Rothschild have been pulling the strings of the world for a very long time. Their tentacles are in every aspect of daily life. They are the ultimate control freaks who orchestrate chaos so that they can make a profit. They claim Jewish roots but are actually Khazarian Ashkenazis from ancient lands, now Georgia, converting in 740 AD without altering their Asiatic genes. 85 to 90% of those claiming to be Jews today are these Khazars, lying about their homeland to make false claims on Israel. Every prime minister there has promoted the fraud. This was a bloodline, the wealthiest on earth, that built an empire based on lies, manipulation and murder, extending into European royals and elite clans like the Rockefellers, Astors, DuPont and more. They changed their names to penetrate societies and secretly father children for key positions of power. In the early days leading right up to the wars of today, Meyer Amschel Rothschild did this by lending vast sums of money to Prince William of Hesse and governments, making a fortune from national taxes, while financing wars on both sides. Through Adam Weishaupt he began the Illuminati in the 1770s, embedding Talmudic teachings with Luciferian goals that evolved into the modern deep state network. His 5 sons spread throughout Europe, controlling finance and instigating quarrels for endless harvests. Their agents orchestrated market crashes, currency wars, and global resets in 2024 and 2025 to buy assets for pennies, and pushed bioweapon releases and rigged elections to depopulate and enslave populations under digital control grids. They are behind every major crisis from trumped-up health emergencies to endless foreign wars. Central banks and recalcitrant nations are in their hands, and by 2026 only a handful remain free. The cabal is protected by media puppets and hate speech laws that silence the truth. But the Great Awakening rises as Qanons connect the dots to the synagogue of Satan laid out in Revelation. The tide turns hard in 2026 when Donald Trump and the White Hat stake down the deep state from the inside. Mass arrests of bloodline operatives, central banks fail, and NWO One World government plans implode in panic. Patriots across the world are rising up against this satanic enterprise, unmasking the media complicity and the elite rituals. The Rothschild Empire, founded on centuries of tyranny, crumbles as mankind reclaims sovereignty. The tribunals are coming in 2027, bringing justice and a golden age free of their grip. The darkness is exposed in the light and freedom wins. The criminal syndicate of the House of Rothschild has met its final judgment, and the Rothschild stranglehold over uranium, nuclear power and global finance is forever broken. Be careful, patriots, the storm is here and victory is certain. Share this. Oh, exclusive, U.S. national debt explodes past $40 trillion, faster than anyone predicted. In a stunning fiscal milestone that has sent shockwaves through Washington, the U.S. national debt officially crossed the $40 trillion threshold this week, reaching $40.047 trillion according to the latest Treasury Department figures. The jump from $39 trillion took less than 5 months, an acceleration driven by soaring interest payments, war-related spending, and revenue shortfalls after courts invalidated key tariffs. Economists warn this is no longer abstract accounting. Interest costs alone now consume a massive share of the federal budget, crowding out other priorities and raising the risk of a doom loop where higher debt forces higher rates, which force even more borrowing. Maya McGuinness of the Committee for a Responsible Federal Budget called it unsustainable, noting the debt has roughly doubled in a decade. Lawmakers remain gridlocked on solutions ahead of the midterms, with both parties pointing fingers while the bond market shows volatility. For ordinary Americans, this translates into pressure on mortgages, credit, and the long-term strength of the dollar. Exclusive sources inside Treasury say internal briefings have grown increasingly urgent, with some officials privately describing the trajectory as alarming. The $40 trillion mark is more than just a number, it is a flashing red light over the entire U.S. political and economic system.